everyone, and welcome to episode 32 of the Illiana Stock Car Radio. Jeremy Banning here, along with me.
Wait, really? 32?
32.
God, we're getting old.
Speak for yourself.
I did.
Alongside me here, obviously I'm Jeremy Banning. Alongside me is Chris Goodacre, owner-operator of Goodacre Photography. We've got a couple special guests with us in studio this week. One extra. It was a buy one, get one.
I don't know about that.
Well, all right. So Sierra, the operations manager from Shadyhill Speedway. I'm not even going to try to say your last name because I will butcher it.
You should try.
I don't want to. Not really. These people listen to me and hear me stumble enough. I don't want to try it. So for my ignorance and maybe everybody else's ignorance, how do you pronounce it?
It's Mughmaw.
Thank you, Billy. It is Mughmaw.
All right. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
And then also we've got Billy Alger, the owner of Shadyhill Speedway.
It's Alger.
The liar.
They pronounce that Igor.
Right, correct.
Is that like Garth Algar, like from Wayne's World kind of thing?
Exactly.
Okay. I was just making sure, I'm just trying to get the story straight here.
We're circling around. Do we record this in your basement again?
That you made that sound creepy. Like
that's where
creepy.
Wayne's World was recorded. It was in, I believe, Wayne's basement.
It's true. That is very true. So that means this is party time, and it will be excellent.
I'm not doing the guitar part.
If we recorded this in Aurora, excellent. It'd be all that much better. So, all right. Well, we've already probably scared them off and everybody else off.
I'm sorry.
So we wrote the script for Sierra, thinking we would just have her in studio. Billy tagged along here, so we're gonna pretty much throw it out and go from there. So,
which is most of our episodes.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much.
We start with who we're going to have on, and that's about it.
We start with this. So, Billy, I'm going to start with you. How long have you owned Shadyhill now?
This is the start of our third year.
Third year? Okay. And how did you decide to get into the track ownership business?
I started back in '96. We went down to the North Wilkesboro Speedway, my ex-wife and I, and yes, it sounds like a country song, but we went down there in '95 to watch a Wilkesboro race and fell in love with it, bought a racetrack, and we had the racetrack in '96, and then we ran it to 01 until I got divorced, and other than that, it was cool. So I bought Lake Village, the track I used to race at as a kid, and it was a road course, and it was really kind of at the end where we needed to pave the track or go something different. So I decided to build the dirt track there, and had a whole lot of fun building that. I'm being sarcastic. It was a pain in the butt, but once we got it done, it was cool, and been around it for quite a while. So we had an NASCAR team too. We went ARCA racing and stuff like that, and it just kind of Shadyhill just kind of fell in our lap a little bit. Just kind of some scenarios worked out, and here we are.
Okay. Now, Sierra, I know you're the operations manager at the track. What does that entail?
It entails a little bit of everything. I do points, the website, help on the track surface from Wednesday to Saturday, and scoring on race night. And there's about 1,000 different little jobs that I do every week. So
I was going to say, tell us what you don't do.
Exactly.
So a jack of all trades, master of none kind of.
Pretty much,
pretty much scenario.
Pretty much.
Bill, you mentioned you did some NASCAR stuff for a while, ARCA teams for a while. How did you make the decision to do that and then kind of get out of it? Because I think you had like Clay Greenfield racing for you in the truck for a little while, and I know you did some ARCA stuff. And talk a little bit about that.
Where do I go with that? Basically, I had raced my whole life. I started when I was 4 in quarter midgets and did the race cars, stock cars. I raced at South Lake Speedway, and I did a little bit of time at down south racing and stuff like that. But decided I wanted to race for a living. I said it's time to do this, and Bobby Hamilton had passed away, and his team was up for sale. So I bought the whole team. I had owned a movie theater, was doing terrible. Right as I opened up the movie theater, the gas went to $5 a gallon. You remember when that happened? Then America just fell apart. And so we struggled there for 4 years, and I found a lady that wanted to take it over, so I sold it to her and bought the Camping World Truck team, which was a Dodge team, and they struggled, of course. And basically, I had talked to NASCAR originally. I was supposed to be the driver. It was real simple. I told NASCAR I was buying the team. They said, "Cool, how long have you been racing?" I said, like 25 years. And okay, so I did the truck, did all the work on it, and sent in my entry form, and we're getting ready to head to Martinsville, which would have been my first race. And they said, "Wait a minute, you raced all dirt. You got to get some asphalt experience," which kind of a setback, of course.
Sure.
So they said 3 years of like asphalt, late models, and ARCA and stuff like that. So I went backwards and did that. And so I wanted to get out there and see what to do. So I talked to Clay, and he said he'd like to race. So we kind of put a little team together for a while there, and it was. We got our butts kicked in every which way you could. We went to Daytona, our first race, all the way down there. We made it maybe 5 laps and blew a motor, brand new motor, and I remember it was $66,000 down the tube in 5 minutes. So it was. We've had our butts kicked in a lot of ways, but we kept fighting and coming back, and we actually missed the next race in Kentucky too with our short track truck. I mean, it was tough. It was back in the days when there was like 40 and 42 trucks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not that it's not hard nowadays, but. So it was cool. We made our first race in Texas in 2011, so that was quite an experience.
So you make the decision. We talked about to buy Shady Hill. What are some of the pitfalls you encounter in track ownership? Because it's tough for track owners these days, especially with social media and everything.
Are you talking about the rut I stepped in last year behind the sign in the infield?
But I'm not here to open up any beefs you got.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, it was behind the sign. Apparently there used to be a pond there, so I'm appreciative of the not having a pond there.
Okay.
I don't want to talk bad about owning tracks, but it's really hard. I've heard a lot of track owners talk about tracks, but I've never really ever heard them say the stuff that I know about. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this since '96, so it's going by fast, but I've done it a lot of years. There's a lot of like last week, there's just so much stress. It's your first race. We've been doing this countdown, 117 days, 116 days. Then, of course, Mother Nature has to step in and do stuff like that. It's little things like that that drive you crazy. And then, in '96, there wasn't a thing called social media. And I'm one of those guys, I come from the old school. If you got a problem, call me, we'll talk. If you got another problem, private messages. But the people that get on social media and run their mouths and stuff, there's a lot of irritating things like that. You could talk for hours over, but it's the good part. 95% of the guys are good people. It's the 5% people that make it a little bit rough for you. But all in all, it's racing. It's in your blood. So.
Hey, you kind of mentioned this past weekend, Mother Nature got in the way, and. Obviously, do you guys as a team make the decision to say, okay, we can't do it, or is it ultimately you making the call, or how does that process work, especially for racers like myself who just get maybe get pissed at saying, oh, well, they canceled, and maybe we don't see the other side of it. Kind of enlighten us on how, at least at Shady Hill, that process works.
Even our first practice, the weather was so terrible. It snowed, it was raining, it was horrible. Even the first practice where they tore the track all up, we couldn't get on the track, and it was drying at a pretty good rate. But when I got out there with the grader about 2 hours before we started, it sank really bad. I knew we were going to have like kind of a rough day, and so it's stuff like that. It's like judgment calls. So it was a bad call. And like I tell racers, when you make a bad setup, you have a bad day. When we have a bad day, it affects everybody.
Sure.
That's the stress. That's the stuff I was talking about earlier that most track owners haven't really hit yet. When I make a bad call or she makes a bad call, it affects everybody. It affects the point seasons. It's a lot of pressure. You feel it. Our opener was real easy. It was a no-brainer. We both stepped on the track. We about sank all the way to China.
Right.
It was
really saturated. Yeah.
Really, really wet. About as wet as I've ever seen it. So it is what it is. You know? So.
Excellent. Now, how did you get involved with the whole racing thing? I'm curious.
Well, I actually started working for Billy in Logansport, which is where I'm from, at a movie theater that he owned there. And I didn't know anything about racing, not a single thing. And he took me to a race, the Rumble in Fort Wayne, just to see if I would like it, And I loved it. It was awesome. It was exciting. And that's not even the most exciting race, So it just kind of grew from there. So he just started teaching me. And I actually started my first job in racing was on an ARCA team, being a spotter and jacking the car up and stuff, it was kind of scary, a little intimidating, but it was cool. So I've just stayed along with it since then.
Just nothing like throwing her to the wolves.
It gets in your blood, right?
Yeah, I must say, I think it's the worst drug you could ever possibly have, because once it's there,
once you get hooked on this one, you're not going to be able to afford the other ones.
Yeah, well, that's true, and it never goes away. So What can fans, drivers, folks coming to Shadyhill Speedway this year expect? Anything new, anything exciting going on this year that maybe they haven't seen before?
I like our schedule. We got a lot of good fan-friendly races and stuff, and we've worked hard to get the fans to come there. And we had talked last year about the late models. We said, I like it. I'm a hard-working guy, and I look at the late models and say, well, you got your crate motors, right? You can go on Racing Junk, buy a late model fairly reasonable. And I thought, well, this could be a cool class. And so we offered it last year, and we said, if we could get 5 or 6 cars, that would be a good start. And how many cars did we have?
It's 17 the first week.
Yeah, then it's crazy. And now I'm scared to see how many we're going to have this year, but it's such a cool class, So if you're a fan, the late models look great. And I really will say this genuinely, honestly, on Facebook, there are some of the best looking cars. I think the graphics guys have really stepped it up, and there are some great looking cars this year, from the modifieds and all the way down to your bomber class, and the 4-baggers. Heck, everybody's putting a good effort in, and sharp cars to look at. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, you mentioned the crate late model class you have. I think everybody, across all forms of motorsports are looking for the biggest bang for your buck, and I think that can give you a good point to kind of land. And I think that's why the 4-cylinder divisions are usually the highest divisions, because you can get into it relatively cheaply. I won't say anything in racing's cheap, because it's not, but
you don't have to spend as much.
Exactly. So I guess we'll get your guys' perspective on this, and this is just off the top of my head.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I know last year you guys had the sprint car tour come through, and you had a driver go out of the track into the pond.
Oh, yeah, we talked to him.
We did talk to Zane just a little bit, and we kind of heard how everything went down. From the track's perspective, how do you guys handle situations like that? And now that you've had it happen, how do you handle it going forward?
Not to throw you under the bus or anything.
No, it was, we both like sprint cars. Who doesn't like sprint cars?
Right.
And then the guys had so much interest, and they wanted to come. I said, hey, help us organize some kind of a show, which they did. And they came out, and, racing is luck and bad luck. And sometimes it was just one of those days where, Zane touched tires and did the flip, and your father, people got good pictures of it. But it was... when he went over the fence, of course, you wonder, boy, I hope he's okay. And you think about when you have bad luck, like they say when a plane crashes, it takes a lot of scenarios for something to go wrong.
Sure.
And so I was the second one on the scene, and to see the sprint car in the pond and upside down. It could have went in the pond and been right side up.
Right, absolutely.
But it went upside down. And I knew this is a bad situation. Obviously a very, very bad situation. And so we jumped into the pond. And the thing that, once again, I talked earlier about racetrack owners not really, this is stuff that you go through that's like, it's crazy stuff. I'm a pretty strong guy. Mm-hmm. I jump into the pond to help this boy out. And guess what happened? I go to lift it up. And like when you're lifting something up on concrete or whatever, you can lift something up. This is a pond. I go to lift it up, I sank down.
Right.
It was the most helpless feeling I had ever had in my life. And I'll be honest, it flashed through my mind, we're going to lose this guy. This young man is going to die at our racetrack. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like sick. And so I said, I lifted again, and I sank even deeper. So I decided I'm going to go down and try to get him, try to get into the muck. I went into the mud, and I couldn't pull myself to even get down into the mud. Mm. And then we had guys lifted one way, and other guys lifted the other way, and I finally just organized. I said, on 3, let's go. And so 1, 2, 3, we lifted it up. We got the car turned over. We got to see him. And it was just... It's a bad situation, but the medics were there. They scooped the mud out of him, and when we heard him breathe, it was like a newborn, breathing again. Yeah. It was just the greatest feeling in the world. And there was a lot of heroes that day, a lot of heroes in my book. And of course, social media, had to tear us up and what a bunch of jerks we were, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care what they say. We saved a man's life that day. And I told Zane, I said, I don't normally hug guys too much. I said, I want to give you a big hug because it is great to see you walking around, and so it was emotional.
Right, sure, absolutely.
When Sierra and we drive by the pond, and it was a month we look down in there, and you thank God that this turned out good for us and good for Zane and all that stuff. So
yeah, like you said, just a mixture of a bunch of different circumstances coming together. There's not really a whole lot you can do about it.
I mean, how many times in NASCAR has there been like a Dale Earnhardt style incident, and you do everything you can to prevent that thing happening again, but it's racing. There will be some freak thing happen.
Well, you hear it all the time. These guys hit the non-safer barrier portion of the walls. If these cars can wreck, they'll find it. They'll find the most unique spots to wreck at and crash at, and I think that was just one of those scenarios.
That might be the most unique I've seen.
Yeah, but it came out on the other side well, which is awesome. So kind of want to talk about this season, what you guys have going on this year. What events do you guys have coming up on your schedule, maybe that you guys are looking forward to, that are maybe new for the year? Anything that kind of strike your fancy?
I'm excited to see what the Lucky 7 Stock Car Series does. I think we took all the money from the season, for that payout, and added it just to these 7 races to make it big and exciting. And I think there'll be a lot of tough competition, and maybe even 7 different winners, which would be fantastic, Now
talk about that series a little bit for those of us that may not know much about what that concept and what that series is.
Well, you're talking your stock car class, and these are for good guys. That class had went away. We brought it back in 2017 to see how it would do, and it did fairly well. It had good weeks and some bad weeks, but 2018 we did it again, and it kind of didn't grow, but it just kind of stayed wherever. And some of the guys were saying, well, you don't pay enough. Well, it's $300 to win, but you got your modifieds, you got your late models, you got your other classes kind of the way. I can't pay $800 to win at each division. It's just not possible, So we racked our brains. We were to the point where either give up on the class and throw it in the garbage, or do something cool. And many nights I laid in bed thinking, what can I do for these guys? And I thought, this is cool. I like this idea. As a racer myself, I would like this idea better than throwing the whole class away, because they were like, we need more cars, we need more money. Well, here it is, $1,000 to win, 7 races. I called Plymouth up. I said, hey, when are you guys racing? They told me the dates they were off. We scheduled all the dates they weren't off to try to get the car count good, have tracks work together. And like Sierra said, very excited for it. So and I'm a big fan of the Mystery 100, because I thought that was another idea of ours, because you see all these races, it's $10,000 to win or $5,000 to win or whatever, and I just thought, let's see how many drivers race for the love of it. I'm not going to tell you what to win. I never tell. She don't even know what it pays. Literally up to the last second, nobody knows. It's just something that I got and I kind of work with. And Nick Allen won the first one, and it's just $5,000. I think they were pretty excited about it. So it'll build up, and I want to build it up to very big one day. I'm not going to tell you guys, but it's going to be
it's a mystery.
We like mysteries.
It's a cool race, because you stop at 50 laps, the guys get to make changes. I know Steven Brooks threw a wholesale changes in his car and kind of went backwards, I'm saying, where he could have went forwards, and it's just a cool deal, because all the fans get to see all the guys working on the cars, and these are the real guys. They're not these I don't want to cut NASCAR down, but like the kids nowadays, you see they're 16, they barely have a driver's license, and they're in Cup,
right.
These are real guys that have families and real jobs, and this is an extra lot of work for these guys to get out there. They're right in front of you working, so it's really exciting. She took a lot of nice pictures of it last year. Then they get back in it. We finished the second half of the season, so I personally like the race. Maybe I'm prejudiced, but I enjoy it.
Cool.
So they actually work on the cars on the track, or is there like a place on the infield that they?
No, we have all the crews bring all the stuff to the infield, and after the 50th lap, we checkered it for the first half, and it's almost like the old truck series used to do years ago. And the guys work right on the track. We give them 15 minutes, and of course my dad's out there interviewing everybody.
Sure,
seeing how things go. So it's cool. Builds a lot of good tension.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. As someone who's worked on them, 15 minutes isn't a whole lot of time to do anything in the grand scheme of things.
Especially if you're getting out of the car to do the work yourself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like you said, because I'm sure there are a lot of the guys that do that. They don't have a dedicated pit crew to roll their stuff out and make all the changes while they just sit down there and drink water in the car, So you guys have an event coming up next Tuesday at the Quaker Steak and Lube in Portage, Indiana. Here, it's a driver's meet and greet. Did you guys kind of work together to put that together? How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, Tammy and I were eating. You probably know where it's at in Portage there.
Right by the Bass Pro Shop, right off.
Don't you have a membership card there?
Almost.
But you know how they got the race cars outside, and they're kind of faded and kind of like whatever. So I just joked with the waitress. I said, and once again, going back to what I was saying, how good looking the cars are these days. I said, hey, you want to see some good looking race cars? Come out to our racetrack. And then we just kind of talked a little bit, and I said, well, maybe we could bring some of the cars out here and let some of the Portage area people know about our track and meet some of these drivers. And it just kind of, she said, okay, here's a date, let's do it. And so we just said, okay, cool. So we asked some of our drivers, and of course they were more than gracious. We had to stop after we posted how many guys come out. They were just, I was shocked, because I told Sarah I hope 2 or 3 show up, and heck, it was 15 guys, and we cut it off already, you know. So we didn't want to fill their whole parking lot up, you know what I'm saying. The next thing you know, they'll be racing, you know how that is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You get 2 or 3 of them together. They start lying to each other, and then they got to go prove it. And
right. So we got like a couple of cars from each class, and they'll get to meet the fans. And we're going to give out 500 free passes that day to the people out there. And so I think it'll be a cool event. So
awesome. Any confirmed names that you can share here that driver wise that might be out there?
I'm drawing a blank. Right. I know Darren Wireman's showing up. You know, and Tammy did all that. She did all the reservations, so she couldn't be here. She's watching Game of Thrones, so she's got
priorities.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's a priority to a lot of people these days.
I haven't seen the new one yet, so don't say anything.
I've only
you don't watch
I've only seen about 10 minutes total of Game of Thrones. And I
you don't watch the Marvel movies yet either.
I don't. Not my style, man. Not my thing. But,
well, nobody's perfect.
Well, so on the Shadyhill website, you guys have a thing called Wide Open Wednesdays. Something I've kind of, I get on there and read. I admittedly don't read every week, but
that's all right. Nobody watches our show every week.
I know either. Well, yeah, because we don't do it every week.
Exactly.
But it's a cool program you guys do just to kind of have some transparency in your communication with drivers and fans, and allowing some of the folks out there to get to know your drivers or your staff. Can you talk about how that came about and how you guys decided to do that?
I don't really know how it came about. It just kind of did, because we have a love. We genuinely love what we do. And you guys remember Ed Hoffman Sr. from the Illiana days. He was he was a cool guy, because he always knew how important the fans were. He knew it was a show, and he knew that if those fans weren't up there, we don't race. And I always remembered that. And that's what you see, like some of the differences nowadays, where people don't really... You know what I'm saying? Some of the drivers maybe don't care so much about the fans, and it kind of fell off a little bit. And so we decided we would, over the winter, it's boring. Northwest Indiana, very boring. So we thought we'd interview the drivers and let the fans really read about these drivers. And then when you come out there like on opening day, oh wow, there's Jamie Lomax, there's Darren Wireman, there's some people I didn't know about. And I'll be honest, I got goosebumps some of the stories. She does a lot of the work on that. I would read some of these stories. They were fantastic. You know, some of the families and just it was just excellent. Some of the pictures, I didn't know this about them. I didn't know what their day job was. So we were just really trying to, once again, make the fans and the driver connection. So
sure, yeah, because that, kind of lines up with what we do here is, we're trying to do the same thing, So, sure. We got nothing better to do. So,
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, well, you've
I got pictures to edit.
Yeah, you take too many damn pictures.
Okay, first couple weeks, it's on me.
You got your dad out there taking pictures or what?
Well, he takes pictures at Grundy. We got Leslie Cook usually taking pictures at Shady Hill. Although Brian, my brother, he didn't come out of marriage, but Kelsey got a Saturday night job, so he might make his way to the racetrack several times this year.
Now that you kind of threw him under the bus, she ain't gonna let him out now.
Well, no, she's at work. She won't know.
Well, she knows now. She knows where he's gonna be.
Okay, but she's at work. She doesn't have the keys to his Jeep.
All right.
Well, and your dad will be scoring.
Yeah, Dad's busy at Shady Hill.
Photos at the same time.
That he does. Yeah, he shoots from the scoring tower at Shady Hill, and I have to throw out about 2/3 of them. But they're good pictures.
Poor Ron.
He can't hear this, Wait,
he doesn't listen.
Does he watch though?
No.
Okay. Well,
I have yelled at him every other week.
Okay. All right. Well, you did mention Grundy County Speedway just a little bit ago.
I did.
Let's get into our local racing roundup this past weekend.
Oh, we're doing that now.
We are doing that.
Nice segue.
This is what happens. We don't do much well, but we do stuff okay every now and then. So weather.
If you say so.
Yeah, weather impacted several events over the past weekend, including Shadyhill Speedway having to cancel due to weather, as well as the Grundy County Speedway. I know plenty of regional and national events were affected as well. I know the K&N East race at South Boston was impacted. North-South Super Late Model Challenge and ARCA race over Nashville was
Sounds kind
effective.
of like Nature won this weekend.
Nature won just about everywhere. Even the Cup race at Dover was postponed today.
Yeah.
So, but a few racetracks did get some racing action in. South Bend Motor Speedway, they got their opening night in finally. As their salute to Dave Weiss and the Blount family. They had over 125 cars on hand.
Yes, they did, and it took a long time to race.
What was it, 7 hours or something?
Something like that. I was at the track for 14 hours. Man, it's a long day.
That is a long day.
I know it's not quite as long as you guys, but
Those are long days.
for just standing in the infield for 14 hours, that's a long day.
That is a long day. We'll highlight the A feature winners because I don't want to get into the B's or even C's.
You weren't awake for them.
No, I was not. And I was in a different... No, I was actually in the same time zone.
right.
But it was A feature winners, Corey Pressler in the Modifieds, Rich Bowl in the Outlaw Late Models, Rodney Smith, Sportsman Late Models, Austin Woodcox in the Street Stocks, Derek Davis in the Front Wheel Drives, and I think it's Andrew Coates in the Hornets.
You need to learn to type.
Well, I'm doing this fast. So, Plymouth Speedway, they got their opening night in. I think it was their Cabin Fever event. They had over 146 cars.
Yeah, they beat South Bend a little bit.
In attendance. The A feature winners, Jamie Lomax in the UMP Mods, Dylan Woodling in the 600 Sprints, Lee Hall in the Thunder Stocks, our good buddy Sean Wilcher in the Super Streets.
That'd be Sean Elvis Wilcher.
Elvis Wilcher, yes. Kyle Gunkel in the sprint car class. He took that. So local racing.
Oh, wow, you've got a lot on this.
Well, I try at least a little bit. So local racing.
Glad to see that.
Local racing calendar. I know Shady Hill's going to be trying to get their opening night again this weekend. What do you guys got going on?
It's the first race, the Lucky 7 Series, so we're once again totally thrilled about that. So it should be a good one.
I also got the Pro Late Models, Modifieds, Bombers, iMods on the schedule too. Right.
Who's off this week? I think
Four Beggars are off.
Four Beggars are off. Yes.
All right. What time do your guys' events start out at the track?
We open the gates at 3. Practice starts at 6.
And that is Eastern time.
Yes,
For our future friends, as opposed to us, slow people.
So, well, I'm not going to go there with you and slow people.
Hey, not nice.
Hey to May. Well, that'll be Saturday the 11th. Friday, May 10th, so this Friday, the Grundy County Speedway, they're going to try to get their opening night in.
No, they're going to try. I've heard a lot about the weather.
Yeah, it's not looking
And they posted a picture last week. I don't know if you saw it or
I did,
not,
with the infield, pretty much a pond.
I very much appreciate that cancellation. I would have had to get some waiters.
We would have had to give you one of the kayaks that's in the garage, and you could have taken that thing out and took some pictures.
I don't know if I could do that. That's a lot of multitasking.
I have faith.
I'm glad you do.
In addition to their opening night, it'll also be their hometown hero night. They've got a full program on tap: late models, mid-am, street stocks, and pure stocks. Saturday, May 11th, of course, Shady Hill action is going on this weekend. So if you're in their area, check that out. Also have South Bend Motor Speedway. It is the Illini Midgets and the GLS Mini Cups coming to town.
No, it's going to be a long night again.
Going to be a long night again for you, Mr. Goodacre. Outlaw late models, street stocks, front wheel drives, and the Hornets are on tap as well. It'll be Lonnie Lepowski who is going to be the week of thanks, so to speak. So that's who they're going to be honoring. Former driver and now a car owner of the number 95 is Steve Stacy. And I also saw, I think it's their value tool night at the races.
I saw something about that. I didn't get a chance to read the entire post, but facebook.com/whatever it is.
You race South
Check them out on Facebook.
South Bend Motor Speedway, so go check them out.
You're the host. I'm the color.
Yeah. Also got Plymouth Speedway on tap, UMP Mods, Sprint Cars, 600 Sprints, and Thunder Stocks. I want to go ahead and thank our sponsors for this episode. Damn It Race Videos. You can find him on Facebook and YouTube. I admit I've gotten through, I think, most of the features from South Bend Motor Speedway that he had posted this past weekend.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of them.
There were a lot, and if you're not at Grundy County Speedway or South Bend Motor Speedway, the track C videos for, and you want to know what happened, go ahead and check his Facebook page and his YouTube channel. Yep. And all that information is there.
I believe he's doing a promo this season where he's buying drivers pit passes. I'm not exactly sure what the rules are, but you can check out his post for that. You
check out his contest on his Facebook page. I think he's switching off every other week between Grundy and South Bend. So make sure you check out his Facebook page for that. S4 Motorsports Marketing, you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram and see all the latest happenings there.
You'll see them. They're all wearing new hats.
Yes, we are all wearing new hats right here. Good Acre Photography.
Oh, wait, that's me.
That's you. So I'll let you do your promo here.
You wrote it down for me.
And you recite said lines.
No, because you have 3 words listed. You can find all of my stuff at goodacrephotography.com or on facebook.com/goodacrephotography. Instagram, which I figured out the password for and I'm using again. Don't you look at me like that.
The picture guy doesn't use Instagram. I mean, come on.
I use Instagram. I didn't remember the password for the business Instagram. I have to, never mind. It's like you and your S4 stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the pictures from the 2 Shady Hill practices are up already. South Bend opening night I'm still working on. Had some family issues going on this weekend, so I'm a little behind, but oh well, there were 3 other photographers there.
All right. Also want to thank the International Women's Motorsports Association. You can find them in IWMANation.com, also on Facebook and Instagram. I also want to thank Left Turn Graphics. You can check out their Facebook page for any current specials they have, and I know they're on track. Racing out there.
They were, I believe Melissa said there were 32 cars at South Bend that she lettered.
That's a lot of race
she said
cars.
there were like total somewhere over 100 that she's put stickers on.
Well, that is awesome. So if you have a race car that, well, a couple weeks into the season needs to get re-lettered, check out
Or after the first night.
Go check out Left Turn Graphics. And
I'm not going to call out anybody specifically, but if you're back in your I'm not really sure how they're related, but brother's car out and tear up the Left Turn Graphics sticker, she might be able to get you a new one.
So there you go.
Not that happened at all to the number 88 Sportsman at South Bend.
Just dropping knowledge here.
Well, I mean, I don't want to call him out on the air, but he is Eddie Wolf's kid.
Well, and that just threw him right under the bus. Remove all doubt. Way to go, Chris.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, with most of our guests that come on here, we give them an opportunity to thank their partners or sponsors, crew. We want to give you guys that same opportunity because it's a team that makes, no matter whether it's racetrack ownership, race team ownership, or drivers, it's a team that makes this whole racing thing go around. So I want to give you guys a chance to
go around.
Go around, yeah. See what I did? See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So give you guys a chance to thank any of your partners or crew that you guys want to thank.
We did put up a new sign on the score tower. It's a Good Acre Photography sign.
Look at you go.
You're gonna love it.
Oh boy.
Well, you may not love it, but
it's probably reflective.
As long as I'm not taking pictures directly into it.
It's really, really cool. You're gonna like it.
All right, that's
really
cool. So, I'm excited to see it.
I put a lot of effort into that thing.
It's cool.
I'm not sure whether or not she's being sarcastic right now.
It's really hard to tell with this involving you, but
hey, just because it's true, don't mean you have to say it.
That just means you got to get out there, right?
Well, yeah, I plan on being out there probably more this season than I was last season.
I think your dad will tell you about it Saturday.
Oh, I'm sure he'll take a picture of it.
Yeah, you'll be getting pictures.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll take about 400 pictures of
There'll
it.
be a picture of it.
Right when he shows up. And
Oh, jeez.
He does.
I'm afraid now.
You should be.
Maybe I'm not going to be out there so much.
I think that we should interview these guys. What do you think? They're always
Oh, my God.
I got a question for Chris.
Okay.
It's not racing related, though. What was the worst date you ever went on?
The worst date I ever went on?
Yeah.
Ugh. Did I go on one at some point?
He's rubbing my foot under the table.
Well,
we've devolved into that kind of show.
wow. This might be a low point for this show.
Anybody that's seen this show would know that's not true.
I know.
So, Chris, what's your answer?
I'm having a hard time thinking of one. Because, I mean, normally if you're dating me...
I thought that was a good question.
It was a good question, but, I mean, if you're dating me, our Saturday nights are spoken for. So I guess the worst date would be there was one race I had to miss. I don't even remember what year it was, but
that's lame. Do you have an edit button?
I can cut that out.
That's lame.
I'll go back through some other episodes and I'll piece something.
Oh, we're doing a best of now.
Well,
so when you first started dating, did you have like a MySpace page?
I did have a MySpace page way back in the day.
Excellent.
And actually, the girl that I was dating that I had to miss that race for. She was very upset when we broke up, and I took her out of my top 8.
See, now we're
now we're getting to the juice.
That's about it.
That top 8.
Wow.
For the younger crowd, that was a thing.
That was a thing. Yeah, and you actually had like code those pages yourself.
That's actually kind of where I learned everything that I have now forgotten because they changed it all.
Well, yeah, it usually changes when it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, no, I mean just like HTML and web programming, it's all changed.
It's all Greek.
Because I used to run DJ Weltmeyer's webpage, and I hand-coded that, and now hand-coded is like, why would you do that when you have all of these other things that I don't know anything about?
Mm-hmm. I heard that name drop, by the way.
Well, I have to.
So before we let you guys go, if there's somebody out there listening that maybe hasn't been to your racetrack as a fan, or maybe you have a driver on the fence about coming out this season,
let's hope the driver's not on the fence.
Well,
they usually are.
I want to hear your best sales pitch to get somebody to come out to your racetrack.
Okay, I'll let Sierra handle that one.
Well, now we got some bus throwing.
Thanks. Well, I mean, it's $12 and you get 5 to 6 classes, and it's always competitive. We have different winners. It's the modifieds and the late models. They get 3 wide all the time. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, I have a hard time scoring them sometimes because I want to see it.
I've heard some horror stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the 4-banger class, they put on a great show, and it's loud. I like that. It's loud. I loved Illiana, nothing against it, but when they had to put the mufflers on, it lost a lot. And that's my biggest fear, once again, going way back earlier to the show when I tell you about track owners. My biggest fear is that we will get to be such nerds that we will want electric local racing, and it'll kill it. Can you imagine top fuel funny cars and dragsters with no sound?
No.
Well, I can imagine it's kind of funny, but I don't think it's a very good show.
Yeah, when you watch the Formula 1 or the Formula 3 or whatever it is over there, they're the electric cars. I mean, it sounds like slot cars, today, but that's my biggest fear. I told her, I said, I'm out if we go electric car racing. I just will not watch it. But the sound of Shady Hill when those 20 modifieds get the green, it's a sound that's amazing. So,
yeah, I think your neighbors are fairly okay with the sound. I know
they're cool.
There's at least one driver I know can drive his car to the track.
There is.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah, there's a couple, but
that's always a benefit.
Well, every time I ride out there with Dad, that's Mitch Bailey's house right there. I said, well, good. Why is he not at the racetrack yet?
Right.
Because he already drove over there. Sierra and Billy, well, thank you guys for stopping by this evening.
Our pleasure.
Talking with us just a little bit, and as we always say, leave them wanting a little bit more. So maybe we'll have you guys back later in the season. Maybe we'll make a trip out to Shady Hill and talk to you guys out there this year.
Our Uber car's out there waiting for us.
Yeah, I know. The meter's running, so.
We'll bill you guys.
Bill him.
Hey.
So that's going to do it for this episode of Illiana Stock Car Radio. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video and hit the subscribe button to get notified when we upload new content. Remember that you can catch us on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite podcast app. You can also keep up with us on Facebook and Instagram at Illiana SCR. Once again, we want to thank Sierra and Billy for joining us this week.
That was backwards. Try again.
Well, I'm reading this and I'm going here. I can only do so much. You talked about multitasking. So Billy, Sierra, thank you guys for showing up. We hope everyone out there enjoyed the show. And until next time, racers and race fans, go fast and turn left.